Hello and welcome to the Social Recruiting Show. I'm Katrina Collier. I'm a social recruiting trainer and speaker. I'm, of course, joined by my gorgeous purple-headed, whatever she is, employer branding genius co-host Audra Knight with Blabcat today. Yay. And today I'm super, super excited because we have not only an ERE and SourceCon speaker goddess joining us, she's also sourcing leader at Procore Technologies, Maisha Cannon. I can say your name properly.
Yes, that was perfect. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday.
Yep. Can you give us a little bit of background about how you got into recruiting and sourcing specifically?
Sure. So I, funny enough, started as a high school intern at a company in LA. It was an entertainment company called Castle Rock Entertainment. They're not around anymore, but they used to produce Seinfeld and some really classic movies. Yeah. So I started as an HR intern there, actually, the summer of my 11th grade year in high school, and went back 12th grade.
About 5 years ago, right?
This is a whole different century, my friend. Yeah. And then I went back during college part-time. And so that's when I really kind of fell in love with being an HR intern, HR coordinator. I did benefits assistant and then eventually recruiting assistant, and I really loved it. So that kind of was my intro to HR, and I got to be a full-time recruiter at E in 2003. And then after about 9 years of recruiting, I rolled into sourcing. So that's what I've been doing for the past 5 years.
That's a really unusual route into sourcing. Very via HR. Most come from agency.
Right. Yeah, and I think that makes me an anomaly. There are a lot like me, like Tangi, kind of started as a full cycle recruiter and dabbled in sourcing. But yeah, you're right. A lot of people kind of start with kind of recruiting coordinator, sourcer, and then move into recruiting.
Because in my experience, this is going to sound really bad, and I don't mean this badly, but in my experience, those that come from the HR admin side don't tend to have the inquisitiveness, that factor to dig.
Yeah, that's a good point. I can see that a little bit. And that's probably why I kept bouncing around in HR, because benefits was kind of boring to me. And, even when I was at NBC in college, I was doing labor relations assistant, and none of it really spoke to me. So when I finally felt the pace of like recruiting and being a coordinator and all these resumes coming in, I was like, yeah, this is it. After all these years of floating, like, this is my thing.
So what makes you buzz with it then? What is it about sourcing that makes you, because you're buzzing, you feel it.
Oh, yeah.
Excitement.
I think both recruiting, it's probably the coffee. That's probably why I'm buzzing. But I think both recruiting and sourcing really capitalize on the best of my natural abilities and my interests. So I love tech. I love people. And then I love I'm an organization kind of nerd. So I love just processes and checking off my to-do list. And so, I think I bring a little bit of creativity to those things. And so that's why it's so much fun for me.
Yeah, completely. So we, of course, decided to do a to tool or not tool. That's the question. I couldn't help with that. Because obviously I always say, what do you want to talk about? And you were like, yes. Oh my God, the tools, let's talk about it. Because really you were coming at it from a way that people mightn't be expecting. Really, do we just use too many? So what was your...
Yeah.
Why do you get so wound up?
Yeah, it's funny, Katrina, because sometimes I think we're a little tool crazy. Someone reached out to me blindly this week on LinkedIn, which happens a lot, and she wanted to talk about sourcing tools.
Yeah.
And within the first 15 minutes of asking her questions, I realized sourcing tools are really the least of her worries right now. She's in a department, she couldn't really define what sourcing is, but she stepped into a sourcing role. She didn't, have a pulse on if she wanted to source for evergreen recs, for niche roles, for full-time, for, entry level or executive. So I realized that people are kind of looking to tools to be a Band-Aid for their pain points, when in actuality, sourcing tools are the last step. Really you need a process, you need a, philosophy, and you need a vision before you even start thinking about tools. So the tagline I've been working on for SourceCon in Budapest is software support.
On a plane. Come through.
I know you got to come, Audra. But I'll still tweet this so you'll get all the goodies. But I was thinking of saying yes. Software supports, but strategies reign supreme.
Yeah.
So the software is just the girding, the undergirding.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Yeah, how do we put on a plane?
You can come in my luggage. I'll put you in my luggage.
Yeah, you can stay in my room. Like, we can sort this out. This can be done. We can make this happen. Let's have a party.
And like,
it's pretty sweet.
Right. And like Steve Levy is saying in the comment, like, don't forget your brain. Like, that's the ultimate tool. And that's the part that people are skipping. You know, and they're looking at all these Chrome extensions to download, but they haven't stopped and blocked out 20 minutes of time to actually think.
Question, has anyone got a tab open that's Facebook?
No, I don't.
I do.
I mean, a little echo?
It's gone.
Okay.
Thank God. It's often, and usually it's one of us who's left a tab open to Facebook or something and it's screaming through and we've forgotten it. It's like, oh no. Yeah, it's so funny.
You two live on Facebook, by the way. Like, that Facebook Messenger thing is kind of different for me. For like business communications and stuff, I've had more people reaching out, and instead of me giving them my email, they're like, can we just communicate on a messenger? And I'm like, is that the new thing? Is that what all the cool kids are doing?
I'm sorry, what do you mean is that the new thing? You're younger than me. Like, come on.
Yeah, but like I use Facebook. I don't use Facebook for professionals. So like I use LinkedIn and Twitter. Those are open and for candidate prospecting. But like my Facebook's always been like just for family. So I'm like, I'm glad Messenger lets you, message without connecting. But I'm like, is everybody using Facebook?
Yeah, go ahead.
Like, okay, in lieu of text.
1.4 billion people go into Facebook daily.
Yes,
so I just
correct.
Set up because I needed it.
Okay.
So it's active. So people are seeing their messages. So if I get a Twitter, so my Twitter's open so anyone can message me, but it goes into a request. Instagram request. And LinkedIn, I don't have the push turned on. It's a pain in the ass to keep going in. So I was laughing because one of my clients, who is my Facebook friend, was sending me all these LinkedIn messages. I'm like, oh, this is doing my head in. But because she's my client, so I went with what she was doing. But if you just use Messenger, I can put gifts, smileys, and love hearts and fun.
Oh, that's true. Giphy, yeah, that's a good point.
Like you can have like 2 friends on there, 3 friends. It's all these in the texting with us, just all these numbers, and you're like, who am I talking to?
Yes, I hate group chats.
See that it's spread because it's the ability to share stuff is so much better. It's a rich experience. You can send videos back and forth, can't you? I don't even think you can do that. Your voice memos, I've done that loads when I've been walking the dogs and stuff. Like, hi, Maisha, I'm walking the dogs, but blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can do that on WhatsApp as well, I know. Yes. But I don't know. I just think it's free and easy.
Nice. So that's just your daily go-to, like probably how I'm using text on my phone. That's just your main,
I mean, I'll have people like, so Phil, who's organizing SOSU in Africa and Canada, he's like, why are we on email? It was so funny because he sent me the email, so I just started replying. And then he went, no, can we go over to Messenger? Because that's how he books his speakers for the planet. You're like,
right.
I don't care.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Why don't we stay there so I know what's going on? Or it's when people flip between the two.
Yeah, that's a good point.
We do that sometimes. That's confusing.
But it's interesting that you think of it as your personal, because I think when it comes going back to tools, I think as a recruiter, you need to be open, and candidates will communicate with you wherever they choose to. And we need to find out which one that is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think the funny part is that when I started sourcing, so when I transitioned from recruiting to sourcing, my first role was in the Bay and at Google. So I relocated from LA and went up to Google. And for the first time in my career, I was recruiting software engineers. So it was a real clear-cut distinction between in LA kind of being the neighborhood hero as the recruiter to being what I call the absolute zero. Like software engineers don't want to hear from you. So the things that were working for me in LA weren't working in the Bay. Yeah. And the feeling I was getting from talking to 30 to 35 engineers a week, screening them, was that, recruiters weren't their favorite people. So I was very cautious to not invade their personal space. And I would always keep it like on Twitter, on GitHub, and email. Yeah. I would never call their personal line or call them at work. Yeah, just because that demographic was kind of sensitive because of all the volume they get. But you're right. For other, fields, especially when I was in retail recruiting, text would have been perfect because they're not at a computer all day, right? They're walking around the mall or, they're with customers. So yeah, I totally agree.
It was interesting. Somebody did write in one of the groups about text. I mean, I would still use text if I had somebody's number. I would even do, I think Steve Levy does this as well, the double text. Hi, Maisha. And then put in the message. So you get 2 messages so you'll even look at it.
Oh, interesting. At the same time.
Encoding flow. I get it. They're going to be pissed off. I get it. Like they concentrate in a way we'll never concentrate, but at the same time I'm like,
right.
If I've done my research and if my message is courteous, I don't really see what the big deal is. But
right. That's interesting because I have to say, since we're talking about tools, there's this new tool that I've been using at Procore called ZenSourcer. Have you used it?
No. Is it ZE?
Okay. Yep. zensourcer.com. And it's an email campaigning tool for recruiters. So, marketers have all their automated email campaigns. They can set up to send 7 messages over a week, but we had never had a tool like that as sources and recruiters. So in using it, I've been kind of, experimenting, and I had a 3-message sequence. So if you're an engineer or, director of marketing, whatever I'm recruiting for, I send you 3 messages. They're automated. And then if I don't hear back from you, I move on. But I thought the other week, let me add one campaign with 4 messages. And believe it or not, an engineer replied to the 4th message. And I'm like, wow, I've been missing out on this because I would never email somebody 4 times. Like, I'm just like not that persistent, Yeah. So I was like, wow, this is really effective. Like marketing makes a lot of sense. Like sometimes I've read marketers have to email you 7 times before you reply. So I don't think I want to get to 7, but I'm excited that ZenSourcer lets me kind of play around and do some A/B testing between 3 or 4 messages of a sequence.
But it's like that building up trust thing, isn't it? So if you sign up to my blog, must admit, I need to check out, it's probably a bit out of date, but you get a sequence of me giving you value before I even say, oh, by the way, I do training. I think that's on number 7 or something. So that's like a normal sequence. Carrie Collier, hello, darling, has asked a great question. Does it work with Outlook? Oh, okay.
Yes, only Gmail. Yep, only Gmail for now. But I believe there are a few other tools, and I'll maybe tweet them when we hop off. I think Recruiter Flow is one that does a similar kind of service.
What's it
and I think Recruiter Flow. Recruiter Flow. And I think it might be something with the open APIs in Gmail that allow developers to build these tools. I think Outlook might be a more closed proprietary software. So that's probably why you don't see a lot that can, kind of pop into your Outlook and send messages on your behalf. But I think I've heard Tandy talk about, even on your show, Katrina and Audra, about scheduling messages in Outlook. So you might want to look like, future scheduling in Outlook could be your workaround.
Yeah. Does ZenSourcer let you do any personalization, or do they have to just be able to same? Oh, good.
Yes, that's a great question. Yes. So personalization, it was nice. They have the form fields where you can pull out the name, the company. It's coordinated with LinkedIn. So it's, pulling data from their LinkedIn profile. And you can even add a field called reason. And that's where you can customize the reason that you're reaching out. So I do a lot of batching for productivity. So I'll do all of my customization at the same time, like set a 15-minute timer, do all of my customizing for the candidates that I want to reach out to or the prospects, and then schedule it, kind of like that. There's a commercial in the US for set it and forget it. It's like this rotisserie chicken, cooker. So I just set it, forget it, and then the messages go out over like 3 or 4 weeks. So,
but I think the thing is you do have to not make your personalization as obvious as the personalization you get on LinkedIn.
Yes.
And then, I know that people who are on the call will get that, but people watching the replay mightn't. Just making sure, because their version of and they're all getting the same message all the time from the same recruiter, and it's like, oh, this is so bad.
Right. And then that's that's the recruiter honeypot story where the fake engineering profile is floating around on LinkedIn, and they end up getting hundreds of messages that say the exact same thing, which is, I was impressed with your profile. So I don't use that verbiage at all, but I like to customize it. I'll copy and paste something that they said on their LinkedIn and make that the subject. So I'm kind of regurgitating whatever they have on their site or their profile. And then I'll use something, kind of contoured in the body. So it won't be the same. Sometimes I'm saying, oh, congrats on X number of years at Google. Or I might be asking a question like, oh, what's your favorite coding tool if it's an engineer. So I try to keep it more personal and creative with the customization.
I'm being so bad. I was trying to find these. I can't wait to hear. I can't say her name, so I feel really bad. Samila van der Toren speak at Source.
Yes, Sheila.
I've got it printed sitting here. Her fantastic post about body developers, how they feel about messages they receive.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
And I invited her on the show. She's letting us know next week.
Oh, good.
Like, come on, come on, tell us some stuff we need to know. We can't wait until June. So,
yes.
what is going on down the side here? Oh my God, it's going nuts.
Software engineer jokes.
It's
naughty.
with his
So naughty.
And I agree with what Mark is saying. Like the sourcers should be, very careful and not be coming off as spammy, sourcers and recruiters. So I think we have to put a little bit more effort. Yes.
Same for vendors. Vendor emails. Can we talk Thursday at 2? I can help your company. And I'm like, I've seen this before.
No, it's like me, you're blah, blah, or you're like me, that you blah, blah, blah. And I'm reading it going, I'm nothing like you. And I don't even have staff. So why are you trying to send me payroll services? I get it all as well, Barley. As to see
that's very true.
Tools within ATS such as Lever or Greenhouse.
I didn't see it. Oh, yes, you can. Absolutely. Like Lever has their nurture feature. Yeah, we'll let you do the campaigning. That's a good point.
Yeah, we're more are getting that kind of stuff, which is great.
Well, Stephen's out of bed and joined us. This means the tonsil recovery must be well on the way. See, if I didn't have Facebook, I wouldn't know this shit, Maisha. This is the thing. Right?
Hey, Erin.
I know she's been in sick bay with her very sexy nurse.
Oh, wow.
That sounds wrong, but I know what I meant. You don't get that shit in LinkedIn, right?
That's true.
That right?
Yeah, she just had
I use Facebook now more for recruitment friends than my family.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, same.
So what do you find the
normal people like my?
So like 20%, like 20% I'll post like my kids or my family, and like 50% is like the show or I don't know, just being in groups with like employment branding groups. I spend a lot of time. I learned so much from groups. And then I put stuff about my band too. I kind of mix it up, but it's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a great point. The groups. And I think the groups, of course, on Facebook are far more active than the ones on LinkedIn. Like LinkedIn should probably just retire groups pretty soon.
Yeah, I think maybe
everybody's there.
That was the problem.
Yeah.
And then they came back. I don't know why I'm echoing. Sorry. It'll be quite awful. Hopefully it's not everyone. Yeah, right, LinkedIn groups again.
Yeah, they really bombed when you got an email for each group like once a day, and then I was like, so I had to turn off the notifications, and then I didn't see any of the messages. Like, so it just
right.
Then they actually physically killed them.
Oh, did they? Oh, okay. I thought they were still around.
They're there. They're kind of trying to reinvigorate them. But as a group manager, if I send a message to the 15,000 people in the HR UK group, maybe 1,000 will get it.
Wow. Yeah. And not many people are even replying. Or it's funny because
they don't send it to everyone. They've decided who will get it.
Oh, I see. Very selective.
Yeah, group managers.
Interesting. Yeah. And that's hard because I used to feel like LinkedIn for a while when they first started doing that post publishing, I felt like it was a place to go for information. But now, like, that's the last place I'll go for information. I'll go to, like, of course, Twitter for even recruiting and sourcing news. And then I'll check out a few, like Recruiter Hunt is great just for tools. And I'll just check industry, sites like Mashable or TechCrunch before I even think to even go to LinkedIn for news updates, which is kind of strange.
Yeah, it's a shame. So, yeah, I don't know. It's gone downhill in my opinion. But then you said I wasn't allowed to LinkedIn bash.
No, you can't. So LinkedIn regular for me is different than LinkedIn recruiter. Like I can kind of skip LinkedIn.
Normal people hang out, and then normal people are who we recruit.
Right.
It's the product shit. We have a problem.
Yeah, that's true. But is there a place where? So do you find that when you're recruiting on Facebook that you get responses, or is the response rate better than what you would get elsewhere?
But I would always go for an email or a phone call.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
I will always find them as a starting point there. My first port of call wouldn't be messaging someone on Facebook unless I cannot find someone else.
Okay.
And then the way I always teach it is, I'm so sorry about this echo.
Yeah, that's so weird.
Not too bad though.
It's okay, is it? With Facebook, I will always say you have to look like a recruiter. You have to fill your bio out. You have to have a statement. You have to have your photos set right. Then you can message someone. Because if you don't do all of that and it doesn't look genuine, they won't respond or they'll block you and you'll end up, all your messages not going through. So you have to do that presence bit.
Yeah.
Don't ever do any sourcing on Facebook? There's a couple cool tools for that.
I don't. I know that there's the intelligence search, which is a really great one by Shane. But I don't feel the need to go over there yet. Like I'm still able to extract value from our ATS and LinkedIn and, just regular Google searching. I also use a tool called socialist.io, which can extract data from LinkedIn, Meetup, GitHub, and it can kind of work around if you don't have a LinkedIn recruiter seat, because they're not scraping data. They're just using publicly indexed data. So you can use that and extract leads from LinkedIn without having a LinkedIn recruiter seat. So I'm still getting good traction on those, using those sites.
Yep. So it's called Social List?
Yep, socialist.io. It's by Irina Shamaeva over at Brain Gain Recruiting. So they do booleanstrings.com. So she's been doing a lot of, good insight, good research on just Google and how to better search. So yeah, socialist.io is a good one.
Oh, very cool. You still with
Erin
us?
gave us a tip. Yeah, Erin gave us a tip on Katrina's settings. Is Katrina frozen?
I think she's frozen. That's what I was asking.
That she was so deeply
This is what she gets for giving me so much crap when I couldn't get on.
She may have to exit and come back in.
I might go with a question while we're waiting.
Yeah.
We don't want to lose her. For sourcing for your role, you do all the reach out? At what point do you pass off to the recruiter? It always seems like it's different.
Yeah, that's a great point. So typically I'll do what I call is kind of the big idea. So I'll do the identification, which is the ID, the engagement, and the assessment. So I'll screen the candidate. And then once I verify that they're qualified and enter off to the recruiting partner. So that's for me, it's a nice value add service that I never had when I was a recruiter. I never had a full, fully dedicated sourcer. So I like to do as much as I can. Well, I changed positions. I'm on the end now.
Yeah.
I'm like talking, going, I'm here, and getting nothing back. Where did I go?
I don't know, but your echo's gone, so that's a good thing.
Your echo's still there. Anyway, whatever. I don't mind. Like, I'm just focused on 4 p.m. We all know what's happening at 4 p.m. Like, I'm so sorry, kids. Like, I love you, Maisha, but I'm so focused on that.
She's got stuff to do, y'all. Okay, it's Friday.
I might have blown the show off otherwise, but I was like, no, it's Maisha. I can't wait to have this conversation.
That's so funny. Look at Steve Beebe. So he says, what about the sources that do name gen only? Or those who think that sources do name gen only? That's such a good point. Yeah. I think that's the perception, that sourcing is somehow junior recruiting. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of us, like Steve and others who have been full cycle recruiters, and we've chosen sourcing because it's a special, excitement we get from that internet research, that, very search. Yeah, it's a different skill set. So I would say they're wrong, right? It's not just name gen, but, that's part of it, right? Being able to creatively identify people.
I think that they are definitely different skills. And I think that a lot of the people, like I couldn't do research full time, but I get the buzz that you get when you do develop that relationship with someone you found who then tells you who's around you. So I get that, but I couldn't do it full time. And I do think that's because I need the selling side. Yes, and that's a part. Help you through the process into my company.
I see. Yeah,
let me sell you in.
Yeah, I don't need that part. I don't miss that part.
I mean, I would almost think that the source's job is more important because you are going out and you are finding the people who aren't just seeing the stuff that we're putting out there, and you're getting them on that hook.
That's very true. That's very true. And I think Katrina is a good point, because when someone in the comments, Lee was asking why I transitioned from recruiting to sourcing. I wanted to focus on that front end piece. And also I was getting a little frustrated with hiring managers. After 9 years as a full cycle recruiter, sometimes it can be a lot, juggling 20 different personalities of hiring managers who have 20 different styles. But that is the one part that I kind of missed when I started sourcing, which was like being able to close a candidate and say, you got the offer. Yeah. Because you don't get that as a sourcer. You never, get to bring that to completion. It's always start and stop. Start and stop. Yeah.
I still remember that. I still miss that buzz.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. But I still get it because I can see the light bulbs go off when I'm teaching and the face.
Right.
And they go, oh, I can do what? I can find people where? And it's like, wow. You can.
Yes, that's so true.
Talk to you. So
Exactly.
those stacking hiring managers. Oh, I can imagine Erin giving. Have you met Erin Stevens? Have you not?
No, I don't think so.
Oh my God, I love her. You two just. Oh my God, yeah.
Oh, good. We'll have to connect, Erin.
Yeah,
and
I'll
Erin
find
was
her back
asking.
show for you as well. Her old show.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
She was asking, what does my recruiting partner handle? So my recruiting partner would handle everything from setting up the on-site interview all the way to, negotiating the final offer, extending the offer, and then handing them off to onboarding. So
yeah.
What
split
is
it in
it
half.
measured on for success? Is it still like if people get hired, or is it more placed?
That's a good question. Oh, that's a good question, Audra. I think, I don't think a lot of companies have figured that out yet. So in some environments, like in the bigger companies, the Google and LinkedIn, sources were credited with offer extend. So, how many offer people can you get to the offer extend stage, whether or not they accept the offer?
Cool.
And my first 3 offers at both Google and LinkedIn, they rejected the offers because they were so hot and they had other options. So I was grateful for the offer extend metric at that point. But then some other companies, some smaller companies, and I've been hoping to help Procore get to this too, are measuring more on the activity, so how many of the people that I identify and phone screen make it to hiring manager interview, and then how many of them make it to onsite, because we don't influence so much that goes on at the end of the pipeline, so it's kind of tough to judge a sourcer only by hires. So I'm hoping to bring in some new ways that we can, look at it a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm hoping I didn't say something that caused some of the comments going down the side. You're getting loads of compliments about being really personable and energetic, and I didn't mean that it wasn't. It's just a different. You buzz by a different thing. That's what I was meaning. Like what drives you is a different. I couldn't do the repetitive digging. I love it for a time, and then so I'm not driven enough by that. That's what I meant.
Oh yeah, no, I totally get that.
Incredibly introverted, aren't they? They won't even do contact, some researchers, more than sources. But I didn't mean that at all, just in case I said that. Paranoia.
Not at all. Not at all. We totally get it.
You consider yourself like a researcher, or is that even a step before your role? That's just different for every company.
There's sources who don't make contact, in my opinion.
Right. Yeah,
there are. You're right. Yeah. I think researcher is part of what I do for sure, Audra. I identify with that piece. And believe it or not, I'm more of an extroverted introvert. So I'm not as extroverted sometimes as people think.
Yeah.
So I love being able to hop on a phone screen for a couple hours, but then I need that time to kind of stop and focus and get organized and get into a zone. So, but yeah, definitely research. I think it's William Maher's definition of sourcer. He says sources are teachers, ambassadors, strategists, and there's another one. But those are kind of the core components. There's another one. You can check out his website. He's a recruiting nerd, recruitingnerd.com.
Mark, why do recruiter sources think it's all about tools? What is the point of a recruiter sourcer loaded with a bunch of tools but lacking in techniques and other skills like a brain? He didn't added that on. I'm gonna add to you, Erin. So
I agree.
Yeah.
What is the point? And like I said, like I like to build strategies first and then see what tools can support it. So like the tools I use every day would be like Evernote. And I'm sure you both use either, Dropbox or Keep notes, for just your documentation. And then I'll use, say, Text Expander, because I don't like typing the same thing over and over. So Text Expander lets you build in shortcuts. Yeah. So I don't have to type my signature. I don't have to type in the subject line. I don't have to type in Happy Friday even. Like I have shortcuts for all of those things. So Text Expander.
TextExpander.com. We're copying and pasting. See, these are the kind of tools that I like.
Yeah, like more practical, like the everyday tools. Like if I'm going to use a tool, I'm going to get all my money's worth. Like some of the tools I use are, free trial and then you can pay. And I'm happy with paying for tools if they really impact my workday.
Yeah.
What's another tool? Oh, of course I use, Google Sheets and Google Drive. Those are really great. And this new tool I have to tell you both about that I love called Loom.
Here it comes.
Yes. Loom. It's at Use Loom.
Say that again.
Use Loom. Yep. Useloom.com. So I'll type it in, useloom.com. So what it does is it'll let you record your screen while showing a little circle of your face. And I use it for training. I use it to communicate with hiring managers since I'm a remote employee and they don't get a lot of FaceTime with me. So I can just, record a 2-minute Loom and say, hi, hiring manager, here's your project that I've built out for you in our applicant tracking system. This is what it looks like. Let me know if you have questions. And 100% of the time, hiring managers reply and they're like, wow, that was so cool. Like, thanks for sending that. And I want to use that with my team. So it's definitely a great tool to check out.
It's got tone, it's got energy, it's got.
So do you use that for candidates? Because couldn't you just put them in the video?
That's interesting. I haven't used it for candidates. Audra, you might be onto something. I always wonder, would a candidate click on it, or like would they?
Oh yeah.
It's a video, and again, they can run a Google search and see that you've got a name and a reputation and you're genuine.
That's true.
Can I just go back up, because I think this is worth addressing, because obviously we've got this ambivert thing going down here. And Lee's written again, I'm just saying she seems great with people, whether they're candidates or hiring manager. Absolutely. By the way, she's awesome. Great hugs.
Thank you, Lee.
Need that kind of person to bring them out of their role and start communicating like human beings. Oh my God, yeah. Which can make them better hiring managers and better communicators. So, but what I think is interesting with that, Lee, is I'm an ambivert. I think Audra's probably an ambivert. Maisha's an ambivert. So we love this, and then we need our quiet time, which is why we can all work remotely so well.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
It's quick and it's fun. It's vibrant. We're happy to chill down.
And Lee makes a great point. It reminds me of something. I did not initiate this statement. I think it was like Matt Charney. It was someone snarky, and they said they heard at a conference that hiring managers do 2 things poorly: hiring and managing. And I really resonated with that.
Ever I've heard.
Isn't that kind of Charney-ish? I think it was Charney. So, I mean, I kind of felt that way. Like, as much energy as I would give to a rec, 110%, working with all of the hiring managers' preferences, and I would still end up in a situation where, after submitting 25 candidates, they say, well, let's see what else is out there. And it's like, I'm giving you the best that I can attract based on our brand and what we're paying, and you're not satisfied. So that for me was kind of becoming counterproductive. It's like sometimes hiring managers don't realize how hard you have to work to get a yes. And that's kind of the part that was, kind of discouraging for me. So that's why I was thinking, well, let me support recruiters who will love the value I provide. And that wasn't always true either. Sometimes recruiters are hard to work with as a sourcer. So I was surprised.
People could be hard to work with. Why do you think we all work remotely? We have to deal with them all the time. Shouldn't say that.
Right.
She's my client. She's on the call. She's just going, I'd never heard the term ambivert before. It's spot on.
Nice.
Spot on.
Yeah. It is spot on. It is spot on. Yeah.
People don't believe I'm an ambivert. It's quite funny.
I'm really surprised Erin's not an extrovert.
No, I could her as an ambivert.
That's true. I agree with Erin.
Real life,
we're on, but then you need your time recharge. 100% agree.
So,
but does anyone not need that?
Huh?
But does anyone not need that?
Some people don't. Some people thrive from being in the crowd.
They get their energy from other people. And don't need. We get our energy from alone time and just recharge, which again nobody believes about me because I'm some. But going back to the topic at hand, so I'm all about the future-proof recruiter stroke sourcer because, of course, apparently we're all being replaced by AI.
Hi, robots.
Yeah, you're watching. Go down that one, saying this is all about to tool or not to tool. What are your thoughts on that? And do you think that we will end up that way, or?
Yeah, I don't believe. I feel like I've seen a lot of articles saying that our jobs will be replaced, and I don't know. Maybe. There are a lot of jobs that have been lost because of technology, but I don't think recruiting is one of them. Just because there's so many things that can drop through the cracks, even with humans handling recruiting. So if all of it were automated, I don't think people would really be engaged in a process. Like who's going to do that first phone screening and give you insights about the culture and share stories from their experience? The bot? Are you going to chatbot your way through the interview process? So I don't know. It depends on the industry, but I still think that recruiters and sourcers who are always learning, like the people that are watching us now that are always trying to level up their skills, I think they'll always have a place in recruiting and sourcing if that's where they want to be.
I think it goes back to that brain, that curiosity, that the empathy, the how can we, and also, like I always say, people won't share stuff until you're talking to them on the phone. Like, oh, I move because my great auntie Joan once lived in that city and I don't like it. And you're like, okay, I just would have known that if I hadn't talked to you. Completely crazy stuff.
That's so true. And that's the connection that you make early, when you're establishing rapport, that actually endears the candidate to you and makes them consider the company. So without that, it's all just cut and dry. Yes, no. Is this your salary range? Yes, no.
Yeah.
So
Mark makes a really interesting point here. It should be noted that the experience of technical sources is totally different from non-tech sources because software engineers are in high demand. They get a lot of messages and are overburdened by sources and recruiters. What can recruiters do differently to redeem their image that is being tarnished by lazy recruiter sources?
Wow.
I think anybody who is in demand is being overwhelmed by recruiters and sources. So I teach a lot of nurses, for example. Another one, and that's where you really do have to go to Facebook and you really do have to freaking hunt them out and send them all sorts of amazing videos and things like that so you really stand out. What can we do that's, I don't know, just hold your own and be professional. I mean, just
be professional.
People will see through it if you keep paying it forward, right?
Or like Katrina Collier says, be human, right? Like just be genuine, right? And there was another, I think it's Allison Cruz has the spam, no recruiter spam. Yeah, spam campaign.
Ooh.
And I think for me, like what stands out with Mark's question is kind of redeeming our image. And I'm always like really conscious of what engineers are saying about us. That's why I loved Shmila's article. And in that same like 4-message campaign I mentioned earlier, the software engineer who replied to the 4th message said, I'm happy to talk to you. Thanks for your entertaining messages thus far.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, well, at least, I didn't hear from him until the 4th email, but at least he appreciated the value of what I was, saying, what I was sharing about the company, and even the resources I was sharing. In that particular campaign, I shared a resource, an engineering resource that said, hey, you're probably happy at your company, totally cool with that. Here's a resource so you can continue to do your best as an engineer, kind of like, have a nice life. Yeah, have a nice life. And then he replies after the have a nice life. So it's like, so I'm always trying to just take a personal approach. And like Katrina said, hopefully those small experiences that candidates have with recruiters who are genuine, like the Steve Levy's and like all of the Tangi Pettises that do reach out and are all about them. Hopefully that'll help us repair that image.
I always look at my actual, like my non-recruitment friends part of my Facebook, and it's full of people I either hired or used to place back in the day. And I think, that to me is that because I was human.
Yes.
It goes into that. So I was,
Yes.
Oh, there's so much stuff going on down here. I can't keep up. Oh, the cat, Kitty. Oh, yeah. Unlike mine, I just reached back and Banjo was stopping where it was like, ooh. Must be raining.
Kitty's face is kind of impressed. We got to talk about more tools because Kitty is looking like bored. You see how Kitty says, like, when are they going to talk about tools?
Yeah, let's talk about that you find useful. I already learned.
Which ones? Yeah. So let's see. What other tools? Like, I guess when I think about tools, I always want to know what are the pain points that people have. So maybe if anybody's listening, if they have a pain point, I'm happy to refer a tool, that kind of can help alleviate stress. Let me look on my Station app. So Station app I was mentioning because Steve Levy had 21 tabs open, including Social Recruiting Show. And I was saying he sounds like a tabaholic, like I used to be.
Yeah.
So this tool called Station will allow you to build kind of a nice little dashboard with all of the sites you normally go to. So your ATS, LinkedIn, Twitter, TweetDeck, Asana, Trello for project management, all of it's built in, right? Like as a panel, as a dashboard. So you don't have to open extra tabs.
Is it getstation.com?
Yes, GetStation. Yes.
Okay.
GetStation, yes. And I like it better than One Tab, Steve, because One Tab, I don't know, for me, One Tab, you still have to go back to a tab to see all the tabs you have open. But Station, everything is kind of persistent on your panel, just like on a MacBook, if you use a MacBook, how the dock is. So you just hover over what you want and you click out. So Yes, the dashboard. Exactly. See, thank you. It's early morning in Pacific time, so my brain's not thinking of words yet. It's a dashboard. So check out Station.
Quite lucky it's afternoon, but it's also that 3 o'clock time when I start having a...
Oh, see? Yes.
So
you need a little...
Someone else said another one down here and it's gone. Alio. Have you guys looked at Alio? Alio is the most experienced AI recruiter.
I haven't looked at it.
I'm so not sharing that link. I'll look at that later. I'm so anti everything being called AI until I've looked at it.
That's talking about. That's expensive. Was she talking about Station?
Alio. Probably Alio. Yeah, Alio. I saw them in Vegas, I think, at SourceCon, but I don't know what they...
Is that how I get away with saying F-U-C-K on stage if I say fudge?
Yeah, you can say fudge.
My sister says F-A-R-K, so she goes, fuck. It's so funny. It's her very thick Australian accent. That's got to be.
Have you used Seek Out? Steve is mentioning that. Have you tried it?
I haven't. I was looking at Dean DeCosta's video on it yesterday, and then someone had asked me about Seek Out. It looks like a platform, kind of like a fully self-inclusive, kind of thing where you can search and contact. So I have tools that are working for me right now, so I haven't experimented with it. But if I end up hitting a point where I need something different, I definitely will. I'm selective with my tools that I integrate.
Yeah.
Because I don't like to use tools that already overlap with other tools that I have and that I like. So, but yeah, I've heard good things about Seek Out and Hire Tool.
Are you hiring tech?
Say that again.
Are you hiring tech?
Oh, yes. So right now I'm working on site reliability engineers and Ruby engineers.
So amazing hiring. Oh, there you go. Yeah, in my opinion, is way better than Hire Tool when it comes to tech.
Now, where do those people hang out? Is it like GitHub?
Oh, good.
Or Stack?
They're in GitHub. They're in Stack Overflow. They're using Hacker News and Reddit. But I'm really careful about going into the communities that is really for engineers only. You're going to stand out like a sore thumb if you're in a Reddit chat that's about, Elixir, or Rust or some other framework, and you're like, hey, I've got jobs, guys, so so I'm aware of where they hang out, but I'm strategic in how I, approach them. So for instance, I hear a lot of people talk about GitHub for sourcing. I used to work at GitHub, and GitHub wasn't effective for us to source on GitHub, but we use it to cross-reference emails. So, being able to find someone on LinkedIn or find someone on Twitter and cross-reference and grab their email from GitHub, that's all I need GitHub for, so then I can put them in my...
They are actually coding in what you're wanting to be coding in.
Right. And I'm not a JavaScript engineer. I'm not going to understand Pythons and some of what's in the repository. So I don't need to go as deeply as the actual repositories that they're coding in. But I use GitHub actually in my workflow because I use the issues feature, which helps you track, and kind of timestamp what you're working on. So I love the tool and has a lot of value, but I'm careful about how I start to use those, really community specific tools.
Wait, how do you use the tool? I didn't understand that.
Yeah, so GitHub has a tool called Issues, or a functionality called Issues, and I use it to track, what's going on with my recs. I use it to track activity, feedback from hiring managers, and every week I'm making a notation on all the recs I'm working on. So at the end of a recruitment, it's a really nice way to reflect and say what went well in this, recruitment. Maybe I didn't have enough. What?
Wouldn't you normally put that in your ATS, like notes?
No, you wouldn't. That's a good point. So what sources do is very much under you had an analogy of the iceberg, it's under the surface. So the fact that I have to email Katrina 4 times to get her to reply, and then we go back and phone tag, and we finally talk a month later, and then she's not ready, and she says we'll reach out again in 6 months. So there's a lot of keeping candidates warm that's going on beneath the surface. So normally a CRM would capture that, but if you don't have a CRM, GitHub, I found the GitHub Issues is a great way of kind of keeping notes on, where you are at each stage of the process. And it's time stamping it for you.
Yeah, actually addressing a couple of these as well.
Okay.
Sorry about the thing. So Mark, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of the things I teach. Of course, you can source on GitHub. But I think Steve makes an excellent point, which also goes with what Mark's saying. Yes, you need to make sure that you understand what you're recruiting and how GitHub works.
Right, absolutely.
And the GDPR, of course, you're not allowed to just take their data and put it anywhere. So
Right.
by keeping it where you found it and not doing that is a really wise idea.
That's very true.
Do you source globally? Is GDPR going to be an issue for you, or is it more US?
Yeah, it's globally. So yes, GDPR will be an issue, and I'm trying to read up and study up. I've seen so many webinars and so much information. I'm kind of just paralyzed now. Like, do I even want to send an email to someone in an area affected? But yeah,
the problem with you having found someone and sending them an email, it's if you store that email, that's unnecessary length of time for no reason.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks, Steve.
If you don't have a CRM, that's probably helpful.
Right.
But I found LinkedIn information, and I'm sending you an email to offer you a job is not the same. It's public information.
Okay.
So you're not taking that, like all of these people that teach scraping, which I've actually never taught because I just don't believe in it. The taking someone's data and storing it, that's not allowed.
I see.
Or you can only for so long, right?
Yeah.
A month, I think it is. It's a really short length of time. You have to have a valid reason for why you've kept it. But it's just, I mean, if you just don't do that in the first place, then you're not breaching anything.
Right. Good. And I love that.
Sorry?
The ATS have a lot of work to do, but at least ours is on top of it.
And the problem is a lot of US-based products are basically going, we don't care.
Yeah. That's the hard part.
They're global.
No, but they've got customers in Europe who they're going, we don't care. So, honestly, it's happening.
Wow.
It's if you see it in some of the forums. So
yeah, they're just going to lose customers.
Yeah. You know what's interesting?
Out of scope for duty. I tell you what, you want to get someone's attention. Oh my God, I get so excited when I get an actual letter that's handwritten to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So rare.
But it's still exciting.
That's so true. You're definitely using. I should use that.
Hello.
Am I echoing now too?
A little bit.
Okay. I was going to say about ATSs having a lot of work to do. There's another tool that we use now called Talent Wall, but it only works right now with Greenhouse. So if you're using Greenhouse as your ATS, this Talent Wall tool is really nice because it pulls out all the active candidates in play and gives you a nice dashboard for every rec that's open, what stage in the process people are in. But, again, to your point, Audra, I'm wondering, why haven't ATSs just developed to this stage by 2018 where they have their own dashboard? You can go into your ATS, you can run a report, you can see what your source is working on, so there's a lot of room to grow. But in the meantime, we're using these tools like Talent Wall to kind of make up for the shortcomings.
Going back to my favorite one to bash, it's really interesting how many people have paid an extravagant fortune to have a LinkedIn recruiter license, don't source on it, and don't run reports on it. They use it.
Don't source on it?
So even if the ATSs haven't caught up, you're kind of going, LinkedIn actually offers all of that, and so many companies do not use it.
Right. So that's a good point.
How much are your recruiters sourcing? They're not. When did you last run a report to see what they're doing? I don't. How much did you pay for that?
How much are you wasting? Yeah.
How much did you like taking my training instead? Let's get rid of that.
I know, that's a good way to upsell. Yeah. But yeah, and LinkedIn Recruiter has a lot of really solid reports, but you're right, a lot of people don't know that they're there or don't know how to use them, but they're really helpful to maximize it.
It's awesome. Money, for God's sake, use it properly. So, but I did have to laugh at the whole Connectify now shows every LinkedIn recruiter the email because you get a higher engagement when you use email.
Are you serious?
But they still recommend that you send an in-mail first and you just follow up later with an email.
Who's doing that?
I have to find it again. I know I read it out last time because it just cracked me up so much. Sorry, I'm being obnoxious. Which tool?
That's too funny. Let me see what other tool. I might share a tool that I'm going to share.
I think we talk about tools. We never talk about the ones I expose, which is so cool.
I know. Let's see.
Expander. I didn't expect that.
Okay, I have one that you might like, being remotees like me. It's called Noisely, Noisli, Noisely.
Oh, wow.
And it's like background ambiance. So you can like have cafe shop in the background. And you can imagine you're at a coffee cafe, or it'll have a train. So you'll have that background noise like you're on a train. And it's just a separate tab. It's free. And it's just running in the background while you're doing your thing and working.
That's so fun. I love it.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
I'm doing that today.
All right, or just believe me, I'm waiting for my email. Here we go. Hello, Connect is now included in notification cost of US citizens and corporate suites. Allows you to instantly access personal email addresses and social to result better response rates.
What tool is that?
Connectifier.
Oh, Connectifier is advertising.
LinkedIn.
That's too funny. What other good tools?
Noise going in the background. It's bad enough we've got an echo.
I know. What's going on with that? Okay, I'll give you one more, but I won't steal too many from my Budapest talk, but I have some here. So this other one that I use is
talk.
Yeah. I'm like, let me make sure I have the link right. I'm going to copy and paste the link. It's a subject line email tester. So I think I said in a webinar years ago that Steve Levy did about like the best subject lines to use for engineers. And that was a game changer for me. So I now like to test out my subject lines on this site called Spin Check It. You can kind of get a feel for, you know, the tone, how friendly is it, too verbose, is it spammy? You know, like if you're using a lot of exclamation marks, it'll say this is a little bit over the top. You need to dial it back. Yeah, so I'm such a fan of it. It's really awesome. I agree with what Lee's saying. He's saying stop using InMails. They don't work and they just put money in LinkedIn's pocket. Yeah, and what I like about ZenSourcer, the tool I'm using for campaigning, is that once I enter that, I find their email outside of LinkedIn, then my LinkedIn part is done. You know, like I'm just in ZenSourcer and Gmail for the rest of the way.
Yeah.
Yep.
In malls, you know.
It's really chatty stuff. Except the echo. The echo's really annoying me today.
I wonder, is it the HD thing? Should we make sure we're in?
No. Just having one of those.
Okay, I'm gonna mute when I'm not speaking just to make sure it's not driving me.
So it's kind of frustrating. I did what Erin said. Erin Tech, get a recruiter, turn down your volume. But I find it like
Textio. There's a Textio just for like job descriptions, but yeah, I guess you could use an email header too.
That's true. I wonder. Yeah, I thought it was for job descriptions too.
I thought it was for gender.
And was that free? The one that tests your email subjects?
Yep, SynCheck It is free.
Textio is definitely not free. I feel like it's quite pricey.
Yeah, no one. It doesn't Boomerang have one?
Oh yeah, Boomerang, right?
What's Boomerang?
Boomerang.
The Boomerang for Gmail.
It'll put your email back in your inbox to remind you to follow it up. And it does work on Outlook, by the way.
I don't use enough tools. I need to step up my tools. I do everything slow and manual.
These are different.
Yeah, I think I do.
Oh,
I gotta work on my the strategy. I'm so busy. I just keep doing. Where I need to do what you do. Step back and say, look, I could be more efficient.
Yes, absolutely. Do you use Calendly for scheduling at least? Do you automate your scheduling?
Well, I don't do much scheduling because I'm not a recruiter. So I don't do interviews.
But even with your clients or, you know, coffee dates.
Mine's all internal work. Yeah, I don't really do that. But.
Okay.
I think I need to hire you as a consultant for my team.
Yes, you should.
The Boomerang app has Respondable, which allows you to write perfect emails in Gmail and Outlook.
Oh, that's a good one. Respondable. I'll write it down.
Mr. Levy, love you all. MC Casey.
Hey, Steve, we'll see you soon.
Skip up to message to watch the band play. He'll have to dye his hair blue.
Yep. Definitely.
Oh, good. Someone safe travels, Carrie.
Bye, Carrie. That one works in Outlook. That was just for you. Right. I got one.
And I'll definitely connect with Erin too.
Yeah, busy day. I can't believe already. How fast did that go?
Yeah, it flew by.
I know.
So next week we have, oh God, I can never say his name. Mike? Don't know how to say his surname.
Oh, Chuidian. Yeah, Mike Chuidian. I believe that's right.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know how to say it.
What are we talking about?
Hmm?
What are we talking about with Mike? I have it here. Robot proof through cognitive sourcing. Whoa, this is way ahead of my
Yeah, because it's cognitive, like the cognitive, the brain thing. So that should be really interesting discussion as well. I think we need to be talking about it more because all that's happening at the moment is all of the technologies coming up saying you're all going to have no job. Well, I think people need to push back and go, actually, recruiting is more complicated than that, and sourcing is more
I do think AI, and Aaron said this too, is going to help with administrative, some pieces that are like we could take away and help us so that we can spend more time on the phone or using our brain.
Yeah, automate your bloody calendar scheduling. Don't automate the outreach and the important parts. We've seen how well that
we only have like 2 minutes, but what do you think of chatbots and the future of those?
If someone has landed on your website and it helps you keep them on your website, fantastic. Yes. Like Zalando has done in their tech recruitment side, sure. But as an outreach tool?
Yeah, a lot can be lost in translation with the chatbots too. Just with human.
Frustrating as well. I mean, think of like I'm trying to get through to Currys who I will never purchase anything from ever again in my entire life, and I have to go through 16 different options to get to them. And you just through to a freaking human. So that's the other, and we could lose people as well. Don't know. It's
that's very true, isn't it? Right. But it could be good. Like, there's an app, last app, if I can squeeze in, Pana, P-A-N-A. And it's one that companies use to schedule travel, like when they're booking travel for people. But they use a lot of, it seems like a chat body experience, but when it's for scheduling, it works, right? Because it's just like, what times are you available? The candidate puts it in. So, I think depending on what phase in the process we use them,
But let's remember that you design them so they'll have faults in them and
still a human.
It's really and what's Erin written here, yes, and that's why she needs admin help, and that's where Alio comes in, and that's right. It's you're controlling it, not the other way around.
Oh, nice.
So I think it'd be really interesting break as well. Similar, going off on a nice tangent. So I don't know how it's taken us so long to have you on the show, and I don't know why Banjo's barking. Sorry. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
I can't believe how fast the hour went.
I know.
How can reach out to you on Twitter? Is that best if they wanted to?
Yeah, Twitter is good at Talent Genie or just first name, last name.com, MaishaCannon.com. Happy to get connected.
It was so funny. Shannon Pritchett sent me a message going, but you've written Kanji and it's Maisha, what's going on? And I'm going, and then she went, oh my God, I read it completely wrong. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even see that.
Kanji. I got grey hair.
Oh, no. I've done that on accident. I've seen at Tangent Recruiter and thought it was for me, and I'm like, oh wait, I'm reading that wrong.
Yeah,
I'm in the same number of characters.
Right because you've got it all wrong, and I'm going, I haven't. Anyway, we got there. Thank you. I can't wait to see you in person in June.
Yeah. Yes. I will see you soon.
Well,
and enjoy your weekend.
Maybe at HireConf. Will you do that again this year?
Oh yeah, maybe so. Is it in
November?
In New York. Okay, maybe November. Yeah, maybe I'll sneak away in November. That would be good. Yeah. Is it in New York again or San Francisco?
New York this time.
New York. Okay.
I need to come over. We need to sort one out. Right. Until next week, people. Thank you so much for being so
thank you, everyone. Great conversation.
Bye, everyone. Thanks.
Yes. Bye now.
Maisha.
Bye. Welcome. Yeah. Bye.